Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review. This is a breaking news edition of UPR. I'm Big Daddy Cool, and we're talking about WWE releases. We've got a lot of breaking news. We're going to talk all about it today. We're going to talk about who got released. We're going to talk about what is the most shocking release, why we think they got released, and where we think they're going. So please tune in to this UPR special. WWE Superstars released. Catch you on the other side. Hey, everybody, again, this is Big Daddy Cool for Unpopular Review. We are going to be talking about the latest WWE releases for today is June 2nd. Lots of names to discuss. Joining me on this show is Caden Dirt Sheets. Caden, what's going on?
It's an interesting morning. It's obviously sad to see people getting released, so it's not the greatest morning, but we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of heartbroken hearts this morning. And joining us as well is Evil Dose. What's going on?
Everyone, I'm proud to announce the formation of the EDWF, the Evil Dose Wrestling Federation, starting in about 20 minutes. We are accepting applications shortly, so let me know what you got.
Very good.
Tons of money.
Evil Dose is about to start his own wrestling federation with all these releases. Let's get into it. If you haven't heard by now, WWE has released 6 talent so far. It is, again, we're recording right now. It is about almost 1 p.m. Eastern and live streaming on Unpopular Review, YouTube, Facebook. If you're new to Unpopular Review, please make sure you like, love, and share and subscribe. The names include Braun Strowman, Aliester Black, Lana, Ruby Riott, Buddy Murphy, and Santana Garrett. There is rumors to be more. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but very shocking. At least 3 out of these 6 are shocking to me. Let's start with you, Caden. Who is the most shocking out of this list of 6?
So, my most shocking isn't because of their star power. It's because of where they were right now in the company, and that's Aleister Black. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, you said Aleister Black's released, and would have said, okay, that makes sense. They weren't using him. But he returned 2 weeks ago to disrupt that. I believe it was a fatal 4-way for the IC title match, So and they put him right back on TV. They had him take out Big E, and then they were doing this feud with Big E and Aleister Black, and he's suddenly gone. We had news that he was backstage at SmackDown on Friday, and they kept him and Big E off of TV to kind of let their storyline play out. So the fact that this is now 5-6 days later and he is released is very surprising to me.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think Aleister Black is one of the top 2 that are most shocking to me. Evil Dose, who do you find most shocking on this list?
I mean, without question, the most shocking to me is Braun Strowman. WWE seemingly has been trying to become the land of the big man again. He's 6'9", about 330 pounds of jacked muscle, and he's ripped now, which may be one of the reasons he's released, because he keeps ripping things. That's just speculation, but yeah, he's exactly a WWE kind of guy. Even if he had a big show career, that's a 20-year career, and I'm actually dumbfounded on this one. I was surprised with AOP. I was surprised with Eric Rowan. But this one, I mean, literally, if there was ice underneath me, it would crack and I would fall into the Arctic.
Without a doubt. I think Braun Strowman, to me, out of this list of 6 is the most surprising. He is the prototypical Vince McMahon guy. He is a big dude. The guy got feedback that he was too fat. He went to the gym. He worked out. The guy looks like a shell of his former self. This guy was chiseled now and took that feedback rolling. He, went into WrestleMania with an angle with a McMahon. Like, this is how strongly they felt about Braun Strowman. This guy, I thought if anybody would be a lifer, it'd be this guy. He sells merch and the kids love him. And I don't understand this. Unless this guy has skeletons in his closet, like Velveteen Dream like skeletons. I don't get this.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to. I believe the reason why he was released is his massive contract. That's what people keep speculating, mainly from Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful. He's reporting on. I can't find the exact report, but on Fight, I can only see what it's saying. But he's saying that he learned that Braun Strowman's huge contract was likely the catalyst for his release. They're trying to minimize those massive contracts, get people back down to cheaper contracts. That's why Brock was never re-signed. That's why Goldberg hasn't been back in a few months, and they're using him very sparingly. I think that they don't want people that are going to be on these massive contracts that are either A, injured a lot, or B, not doing their best work, and they're pointing at Braun's title run from last summer as part of the reason why his large contract is not what he deserves.
Got it. That makes sense. But now let's talk about Alistair for a minute.
Let me chime in for a second here. I'm Braun. I'm not saying all of that is not incorrect, but Braun just re-signed a contract. Listen, we know that's happened before they re-sign and release. I think that the key part in that is that he's injured a lot. He's off TV all time for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time, and that's only the injuries that they don't tell you about. The ones they tell you about, he's gone for 2, 3, 4 months at a time. And I just think that giant body full of muscles and 10 years of strongman untested competition, those everything's starting to rip. And that is, and I hope that's not the case. And this is pure speculation, but nothing else makes sense to me because the money is peanuts to them anyway. And I don't know. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Sure, Evil Dose. I concur with you, and I want to get more into Braun later on when we start talking about where we think they're going to go. Let's talk a little bit about Aleister Black. Kaden, you brought up Aleister Black. You know, he could have been released when he was sitting on the bench, and they chose not to release him then. I wonder why now, and also what was a couple weeks ago, we had rumors that Zelina was at the Performance Center. She might be coming back into the fold. And now we hear that he's gone. So What's the story here?
Well, the Zelina story is very interesting. So after Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported that Thea Trinidad was seen at the Performance Center, she blocked him on Twitter. So whether that indicates that it 100% was happening, I don't know. If it indicates that it didn't happen, I don't know that either. But a lot of people were reporting she was seen there filming some vignettes. Nothing was penned to paper. Everyone's saying that there was no signing yet. It was all kind of handshake right now. I think they were, in my opinion, I think they were filming to see if they had something that they wanted, and then they would work out a contract if they were going in the right direction. If there is no contract, she has not been signed, she's not coming back. There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't see her coming back if Aleister's not there. And, I mean, Aleister right now, we'll wait till the next segment, but I got to say he's probably the biggest free agent right now in professional wrestling. But we'll argue that in the next segment. Any thoughts on, I mean, the one that's most devastating to me is Lana. Lana busted her ass. No joke. This is not me kayfabing, y'all. This is me legit, like, shooting. Lana busted her ass. Like, we knew that a year and more ago, she sucked in the ring. But you can't tell me that this girl wasn't busting her ass to try and get better and put in work. And you see it. And it's no surprise to me that they tagged her up with Naomi because Naomi's a vet. And so she could quickly teach her and coach her on the spot. But come on, like, this woman went through tables, paid her penance because of Miro saying what he said on AEW. You knew that this woman had to pay her dues. She paid them tenfold. How did this happen? How did this happen to this poor woman?
Yeah, I mean, she's now an official member of the Heart Dungeon since she went to that Natalia Little Heart Dungeon that she was holding. She worked her ass off. She really got in there. She tried getting better, and she was getting better. That tag team with Naomi was fantastic. They were doing some of the best women's work on Raw for a few weeks. Should have taken the titles at WrestleMania, in my opinion. It makes no sense to me. We'll talk about, we'll talk about where I think they're going to go, but Lana is a big free agent. She can talk. So even if you don't want to bring her in to wrestle in your company, she is a talker, and she's going to be great on the mic no matter where she goes.
Even like the value alone in Lana, like this is what I don't understand. Lana has a huge following on Instagram, on TikTok, on social media, all over the place.
Yeah.
This is why you brought Ava Marie back. Like, you have someone already in Lana, and she's built and making work. And so, again, I don't get it. Unless she requested her leave, like, this one I don't get.
You all
I
saw
also
that
don't
live.
get. What's that?
You all saw that live. She's real.
I know. Let's also talk about her work on Divas, right? Like, she's one of the better cast members on, Divas. Why would you do this? That makes no sense. Yeah. Any thoughts on Buddy Murphy?
I think Buddy Murphy was a waste well, they wasted Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy's an amazing talent. So I was saying exactly the opposite of what I meant to do. I think that they could have done tons of things with Buddy Murphy. I've been saying for 2 years they should have booked him the way AEW initially booked Pac. He's a young, tough killer. And they put him in crap story after crap story. He's extremely athletic, and he's built like a little rock. Yep. They could have built things around him and had a viable cruiserweight division around somebody like that, as opposed to 205 Live nonsense they've got going on. But I thought he was great, and I think that he's somebody who has a chance to do something somewhere else. But for the life of me, I don't know where that is, because there's no place out there that these folks can afford to work that's hiring at a pay scale. But yeah, Buddy Murphy floored me. I mean, after Braun and Alistair, that surprised me. Lana, I like Lana, but listen, Eva Marie basically fills the Lana slot. Lana, I feel the same about Brandy Lauren. Why get rid of her? Maybe they are just trying to renegotiate for lower contracts. Maybe, if they bring some of these people back at lesser rates, in a few weeks we'll be going, oh, the bastards mean company, but, they're shedding costs they don't need to, and it'll be an economic discussion. But I don't know. We felt the same way a year ago, and the only one that came back was Drake Maverick. So I don't know.
All good points, Evil Dose, and I think we're going to get into that when we talk about where we feel they're going. Before we move on to that segment, let's talk about Ruby Riott. Santana Garrett, there's not really much to talk about. I mean, you thought that she's a journeywoman and that there's a place for her being enhancement talent. I can see that, but I mean, you could also get enhancement talent for a lot more economical value.
She has coach value, so I wouldn't be surprised if they restructure her contract and she comes back as an NXT coach. That's that's what she's there for. She's a veteran. She is a journeywoman. She's a vet, and I think, in my opinion, I thought she would have been really good I think she would have been really good backstage at Raw or SmackDown to kind of help those women that were still struggling a little bit, or missing some of their cues, not doing their greatest work in the ring. Someone like some people who I think are not doing great right now. Like, I don't think Rhea Ripley's been doing her best work since being called up. I think she could have helped her a little bit. But that's not the direction they wanted to go.
Yeah. Before we get into Ruby Riott, I mean, I've on this show have been very critical of Buddy Murphy and telling you that I don't really care about Buddy Murphy. And many times I'll joke around calling him Billy Murphy. And, I just want to apologize to Buddy Murphy if you're watching, because you're out of a job now. So you're probably watching this now. Moving on to Ruby Riott. Let's talk about what I can see Ruby Riott being let go, and here's why. It's unfortunate that this is Vince's thinking. This is the old school. This is Vince's thinking. This is Kevin Dunn's thinking, and we've discussed this. She's got green hair. She's the women's wrestler with the green hair. Who else is a women's wrestler that has green hair that is on the come up and has probably more star potential than Ruby Riott at this moment?
Shotzi Blackheart.
Shotzi Blackheart.
And honestly, anybody else who dyes their hair green.
Exactly. So I think Shotzi Blackheart is coming up, and to make room for Shotzi Blackheart, they said, Ruby, sorry, but we got to let you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Shotzi is coming up after what they're doing on NXT, now that Shotzi's kind of out of that tag team with Ember a little bit, with Ember going into that feud with Raquel. And you're probably right. I mean, we hear about Kevin not getting characters. Like we heard he didn't really get Billy Kay. I mean, this is your guy that's making decisions for the company.
Jim Cornette.
Then you got Kevin Dunn and you got Jim
That explains a
Cornette.
lot.
That guy's got a lot of money, though. I mean, if you check how many WWE shares he's owned and offloaded in the last several years, that guy might look like an idiot, but he's got a lot of money.
Oh, Kevin
Guys,
Dunn.
let's go through some of these comments. We want to highlight here. James watching us on Facebook. What's up, James? Says this is why WWE is losing more and more viewers. They get you involved with these stars, then they either book them bad or just release them. Braun and Black are huge losses. Braun could have been their next big show, and Black could have been in the Ministry of Darkness reboot. We just lost Evil Dose. Such wasted potential. So thank you, James. And guys, if you're watching, please make sure you drop your comments. We'll read them on the air. I want to shout out Shay watching us on Twitch. She said maybe they started a new story and realized they didn't know how to continue it. She's
in all honesty, that's a shitty booking. Don't put someone in a story if you don't know where the story is going to go.
Well, I think they booked themselves in the corner. I want to say that while on the marquee, Aliester Black versus Big E is a big match. The problem now is Alistair's first match coming out of hiatus is going to be with Big E. So you can't you can't have him lose, right? You need Alistair to be taken seriously, so he has to go over.
Yeah.
But you're going to feed Big E, the guy that everybody's clamoring to be the guy to unseat Roman Reigns as champion. You can't feed him Big E. And so they booked themselves into a corner here. Yeah. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
it's so then you just don't book yourself into that corner. You could have had Alistair come out and do the same thing to Kevin Owens. The last story Alistair Black had was against Kevin Owens, and he put Kevin over. Have him come out, hit that on Kevin Owens, and you reignite that feud with KO. It's already built in, and KO can afford to put someone over. You can also just not do that and have Alistair go attack somebody completely different, like a Chad Gable and Otis, whatever you want to do. Who cares whoever it is that he attacks? It's just you book yourself into a corner, yes, and it's bad booking. That didn't need to happen in the first place. And I think if that's what really happened, they released Alistair because they didn't know where to go with his story now. That's on them for not booking his story correctly.
Yeah, and I wonder, we'll let the days tell the rest of the story as they go by, but I wonder how much of this was they gave talent the option, do you want to go? But I also think that'd be
they don't give anybody an option.
They think it'd be a dick move for them to just be like, hey, Alistair's been asking for his release for the last 12 months and they didn't grant it. But then all of a sudden on some rando Wednesday, they just release him. I just think it's just hinky. Kaden, let's talk about, to close off the Alistair thing. Like, I think booking him with KO would have been the way to go. Even booking him with Big E. Big E can take an L, but the problem is Big E just took several L's in his effort to put Apollo Crews over. And he did an excellent job. Apollo you now take seriously, right? Yeah. Because of the work that Big E put into Apollo. But to have Big E like lose back-to-back from Apollo to now Aleister Black, like, nah, that's not the answer. You can't do that. So we'll see what happens from here on. But let's move on to where do we think they're going?
Yeah, let me bring this up. The banana from Tuesday night saying big free agent, what are you smoking? I believe he's talking about Lana. Lana is a big free agent. She's great on the mic. She's a very beautiful girl or woman. I believe any company would want her, honestly. I don't know why you wouldn't want her in your company. Even if you don't want her to wrestle, just have her on the mic. She's so good on the mic that she doesn't even need to be there to wrestle.
And not for nothing. And you're absolutely right, Kaden. I think she would probably be the one person out of this list that I think, well, besides Aleister Black, that I think is destined to go to AEW. Miro is already there. Not only that, but Lana has gotten progressively better in the ring. And if you put Lana in the women's division, you can't tell me that she's not top 5.
I'm gonna counter. When we're getting right into this with Lana and where she could go, she's going to AEW, and it lines up very, very well. She has a 90-day no compete. Kip Sabian just got injured, so Kip Sabian is also with Penelope Ford, so I can see a storyline between Kip and Penelope and Lana and Miro to just absolutely put Lana and Miro over, just like an absolute squash. Penelope would actually do something. Kip wouldn't. I actually think that if they want Lana to wrestle, I think that'd be pretty solid starting storyline to really get her over there. Or even if Kip's not even ready, have Lana come in. I think she'd just go with CJ. Honestly, I think enough people just know her as CJ anyways. She'd come in with Miro. Penelope can come after Miro for his revenge, or for her revenge for injuring Kip, and then Lana squashes Penelope. That's very good starting booking, in my opinion.
I agree, but I mean, I feel like that's a step back. Like Miro's already left Kip Sabian in the dust, but we'll see where they are in 3 months from now.
It would be more of a story to get Lana over in AEW rather than getting Miro. Miro doesn't need it, but if Kip's probably still going to be injured by that point, it would at least allow something that it makes sense storyline wise. Since you can say that Miro was the one who injured Kip, Penelope's pissed off. She goes after Miro, and then Lana makes her surprise debut in front of crowds because they'll be touring at that point. And you just go into a quick 2-3 week feud between Lana and Penelope, and that's a killer feud. Those two girls would kill it.
No doubt, I agree. They're both very talented, and I think they could definitely do business. But if we're talking about Lana getting over, Lana gets over the minute she walks out next to Miro. That's a huge pop.
Yeah.
Let me take this time to reset. We're already 20 minutes into this show. It's a special UPR, Unpopular Review Edition. We're talking about these latest WWE releases. About an hour or so ago was breaking news about these WWE releases. We got Aliester Black, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy, Lana, Ruby Riott, Santana Garrett, all let go. And we're talking about who are the most shocking out of those 6, why they were let go, and we're about to get into a section of the show where we're going to talk about where we think they're going. Yeah. We just wrapped up where we think Lana is going. Again, this is Unpopular Review. If you're new to Unpopular Review, please make sure you like, love, and share.
All those places
follow
up
all
there.
Our socials. You see them all around us. We like talking about wrestling. We like talking about movies. We like talking about a lot of different things. We do review shows. We do all kinds of things. And today we're talking about wrestling and these releases. So please follow, like, love, share. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. And all those guys on Twitch, please make sure you sub to our account. Kaden, where are we going from here? Let's talk about... I'm
going to run through some of these comments real quickly. We got...
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Jason Lee Tucker saying, I'm confused by this. Apollo being treated like garbage since he left NXT. Better push him or he's the next to go. He's the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
He won at WrestleMania. So yep. I don't know what he's talking. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea what he's talking about. Apollo is the Intercontinental Champion and had to win at WrestleMania.
Apollo's been pushed. Now I don't know if maybe
crazy.
Jason Lee is, and if Jason you're still watching, please elaborate. Do you think he should be the guy that takes the title off of Roman? Is that a push? I don't know. We talking about that, my man.
Yeah. James saying, you think WWE is buying all these talents just so they can hire several part-timers in their place? I want to come back to this in a little bit because I have a theory on why they're releasing the big money talents. But I want to get through where we think they're going before I talk about that.
Yep.
Vanna saying top 5, Shane in the top 20. Steve, stop it. I agree with you. I think she's one of the top 5.
If in AEW, I'm not saying all of wrestling. I'm saying immediately off in the door. Lana walks into AEW, she's already top 5. You can't tell me that she's not.
Yeah. AEW scoop this talent up quick. Yeah, there's a few I think they could really go after and could help a lot. I mean, we heard last week that they want to expand their roster with Rampage. So they really got lucky this week. They got their talent expansion coming. Charmaine saying no and also hello. But before that, James saying hopefully there won't be any more announced today. I am monitoring Twitter as much as possible while we're doing this show to see if anything else is coming out. I'm following Fightful Select. I don't subscribe to it, but I'm trying to keep a lookout for it. I'm really just looking through everything. There's a lot going on right now.
There is a lot of breaking news. People are on the edge of their seats. Caden came off of his hiatus.
Okay,
Do
so
we have
no,
more
I'm not
breaking
gonna. I'm
news?
not. I just saw some, but I'm not gonna report on it because Sean is saying that he's heard none of what this person just said. So I'm not gonna say any of the names until we know.
It's premature.
I'm not gonna say anybody's name until we know.
But Caden, we might get some breaking news live as we're live streaming here. Caden, let's talk about
Very
Alistair.
possible.
Let's talk about Alistair Black. Where do you think he's going?
I think Alistair Black's going to AEW. I could also see him go. I think Impact is not a terrible fit for him. I think that kind of dark character fits there very well. AEW's got to be it, though.
I don't know. I think New Japan is a really good place for this guy.
New Japan's the only other one.
You just had Will Ospreay get injured, and that neck injury, I don't think people are taking it as serious. It might be a career-ending injury for Will Ospreay. Aleister Black would fit in nicely in New Japan. His character, the way his fighting style, I'm just saying, New Japan makes sense for Aleister Black. What about Braun Strowman? Where do you think Braun Strowman's going?
Nowhere. I think Braun Strowman is done with wrestling. I don't think he's going anywhere. Due to a lot of different factors. I don't think he wrestles a WWE style.
Yep.
And that's all he can do. And even then, he's very limited. You look at that triple threat that they had at WrestleMania Backlash, and you could see that they protected him by what he was like, very much like what he was doing was to limit him and to not show off his weaknesses and his abilities. So he wrestles a very limited style that is only capable of being in WWE. So I don't think he goes to an Impact, an ROH, a New Japan, an MLW, or an AEW. People are saying AEW, absolutely no chance in hell he goes there. The other thing is, does he do indie dates? I don't think he does, because you go back to the beginning of the pandemic, he put out a very nasty statement about indie wrestlers because indie wrestlers were out of jobs due to the pandemic, and he said, if you can't make it, don't do that as your job. And something of those lines. He got criticized by his own peers. I think Kevin Owens criticized him for that. And a bunch of indie wrestlers were very upset. So I don't think that one, that indie bookers will want him there. I think his price tag will already be too expensive for them anyways, especially right now. And I don't think he even wants to do indie wrestling. I think he's done. I think he'll just do signings at conventions.
Yeah.
And maybe go be an analyst somewhere. I don't know. I think he's done.
Evil Dose was on the show earlier today, and he mentioned that some of these might just be restructurings of contracts, and so they just release them as independent contractors and then are renegotiating a lot of these contracts. And I want to believe that Braun is one of these guys. Like I said at the top of the show, Braun is the prototypical Vince McMahon guy. Yeah. He has the look. He has the build. Vince tells him, you're fat, go lose weight. He lost weight. The guy has got to be beloved by Vince. And so that's why he is one of the more shocking names here on this list today. But it would not surprise me if we find out that he's back on Monday, on Friday, by SummerSlam. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't see him going to AEW. I don't see him going anywhere else. I see him staying right back on WWE. We spoke about Lana. We spoke about Alistair. What about Ruby Riott? Where's Ruby Riott going?
Ruby Riott will probably do indie bookings and could end up in Impact. That's where I think it's more most likely. I believe, ROH, I think, or NWA, one of the two are doing that women's tournament, which would be a good fit for her, but she will not be out of her no compete in time for that. So I don't see her going anywhere like that. I don't see her going to AEW unless she does some dark appearances or does a little squash match. But the biggest question to me is if Liv Morgan is released today. If Liv is released, that to me confirms that they're going to Impact to be in that tag title picture. That's where I could see that. I think for me, it depends. Like where she's going right now depends on if Liv is also released. Because I think if she is released, they're both going to be together.
Yeah, I don't know where she's going to be. I don't think that they're going to release Liv. I feel like, again, they've got, as far as the women are concerned, they have their prototypes of each woman. And letting go Lana, the blonde, I feel like they won't do the same thing for Liv. I think even as we were talking about Ruby Riott and the backfill being Shotzi, I think Lana's backfill is Liv Morgan. And so this will help Liv get more time on air. Fingers crossed. But it's bittersweet because I feel like Lana really did her thing. Ruby, I see her in ROH. I mean, ROH is doing their damnedest to restructure and rebrand their women's division. It's headed by Maria Kanellis as like the women's division GM. So I think that they would be really, they'll do good for themselves if they put on a Ruby Riott in there. Same thing with Impact. You see what Impact did with Deonna Purrazzo, right?
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo was not even a WWE main roster release. She was released from NXT.
Yep.
And she's the Impact Women's Champion. So it would not surprise me if she is the next person, Ruby Riott, to go over an Impact and make a big splash. So that makes sense. We've got a lot of people surprised. Clifton watching us over on Facebook. This is crazy. Why did they release Braun Strowman? Braun Strongman. I don't know, man. We're trying to figure that out. We're trying to put that all together. Let's move on to who should it have been. And again, Chad, if you're watching,
I want to talk about where I think Murphy will go.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Murphy. See, I'm always forgetting about Billy Murphy.
So Murphy and Santana Garrett. Santana Garrett, I think, will go to either AEW or Impact as a coach and to put some people over. I think AEW she should go to. I think they need more women's coaches. I think she'd be a really good fit there. Murphy, I think he's going to New Japan. That style fits very well in New Japan. With the loss of Hiromu Takahashi and his injury in the IWGP Junior division, I think they need another strong junior guy. They're also picking up guys that wrestle that type of style, that kind of strong style that he does, mixed with that very athletic style. Like he wrestles a very similar style to Pac. They're both very similar wrestling people. I think he fit very, very well in New Japan in the junior division.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, Buddy Murphy. I don't know where you put a Buddy Murphy. Like, I feel like Buddy Murphy makes no sense in AEW because there's a dime a dozen of Buddy Murphys in AEW. So it makes no sense to me. Impact. I mean, again, like you just signed a bunch of guys, like ex-WWE guys to Impact. Like, Matt Cardona, the other guy, I forget his name, the one that was his partner.
Kurt Hawkins.
It's the same thing. Like, it's another Buddy Murphy. Like, come on now. Min watching us on Facebook says Lana's going to AEW. Braun is going to NWA. That'd be interesting.
No.
Braun versus Nick Aldis. That is
no chance he can wrestle NWA.
That is a money matchup right there. Don't tell me that you wouldn't buy that ticket, Caden.
Oh, I would not. I did not want to see that match. No.
Nick Aldis versus Braun Strowman?
No, I don't like. I'm not a fan. Like Braun Strowman's a big guy, and I made it clear multiple times. I don't like big men. I don't like big men unless you're athletic, like a Lance Archer or a Miro. Besides that, I don't like the big men wrestling style. It's not my thing.
Very good. Min also says Alistair to end New Japan. Murphy to MLW. Oh, that's a good
MLW is a good one.
MLW is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good
MLW,
one.
They just signed with Vice and they're looking for some star talent. That would not surprise me if MLW snatches up Murphy. That is a good one. Thank you, Mitten.
This is what I was actually going to talk about. The rumors of Vince selling the company. I don't see it. I feel like he would pass the company down to Triple H. That is what is being very highly speculated today by people like Shad Rossap of Fightful. That's who I've seen him talk about it a few times. People are really high on this rumor that Vince is getting ready to sell the company, whether that's to NBC, to Disney, to Fox. wherever he sells it, Universal, which is NBC. That's what we keep hearing. That's the big rumor today is that, that Comcast could be buying WWE. I think it's a very big possibility. People are kind of saying, there's no chance it's possible. Vince would never sell the company. You're getting into an age where wrestling is not as big as it used to be. A lot of wrestling fans don't like to accept that, but it's true. You look at views significantly lower than what they were back in the 90s, even early 2000s. They're a lot lower than they were. So there is always that possibility of Vince selling the company, especially if the money is enough. If there's enough of that money there, it's always possible that they do actually end up selling that company.
Yeah. Is Evil Dose ready to come back? Is this why he's banging on the window? Is this it? If this is the case, just bring yourself on if you can. So based on that, and hey, what's going on, everybody? Oh, Tom, what's going on, my man? Look at this guy. That's Big Tom. You know, he does a lot of big reporting from overseas. We're over here in the States. So what's up, Tom?
Tom just brought a bunch of people over for us. They just finished their show.
I know. Thanks a lot, Tom. Much appreciated. Guys, welcome. If you're done watching Tom's show on Twitch and you're over here, we are Unpopular Review. We are recapping the latest WWE releases. We talked about who we thought was most shocking, and we talked about where we think they're going. And we're gonna get into a couple segments of who we thought it should have been, and if there's more coming, and who. But again, this is Unpopular Review. We are just wrestling fans, and we love wrestling. Please make sure if you're new here, please subscribe, follow, chat. We've got all our socials down below. I am Big Daddy Cool. To my left? There we go. Is Caden and Caden Dirt Sheets, and down below is Evil Dose joining us. You mentioned the sale of WWE, the possible sale, this rumor. I don't, UFC just got sold for, what was it, $4 billion. So there's a market to purchase this. And you saw this Comcast deal already made. Peacock went from nowhere on the top apps to the fourth app with content behind Netflix, Disney Plus, and Apple TV. Like, just because they signed WWE. So there's money in it. So I can see where Vince would want to cash out and sell while everything's high right now. This is, the ground floor of the future of entertainment, right? Is all these apps, and the content is what's needed. I'd be interested to see if they do sell to, let's say, a Disney. How does Comcast feel about that, right? They'd probably be tight.
If you sell to Comcast, how does Fox feel about that?
Exactly. Like, again, how does Fox feel about it? So there's a lot of, they've got a lot of, it's a lot of strange bedfellows, right? We got a lot of people in the bed, and I'm sure everybody's going to catch feelings, but we'll see I guess we'll have that discussion when we get there. Right now, let's talk about who should it have been. A lot of these times, last week we got Adnan, he got released, and everybody just calling out poor Tom Phillips' name. Oh, it should have been Tom. It should have been Tom. Put Tom on. Put Tom on. And then Tom gets released. I feel like the energy was just negative. It's like, oh, you want to talk about Tom? All right, we'll whack him. So, guys, thank you, Jason. Jason says he just said, awesome show, guys. Just subscribe. Thanks, Jason Lee.
Thank you.
So, yeah, who would it have been? Caden, you got any thoughts on this?
I'm not going to say who I think it would have been instead. I'll talk about, I am going to talk about it. Jackson Riker needs to freaking go. Get him out of the company. There's no point that he's the reason why Forgotten Sons were taking off of TV, but he's the only Forgotten Son still there. I've been saying this through every single release we've had in the last few months. We've had all these different levels of releases. He still has not gotten released. He needs to be released. Like, if you're going to release Drake Wirtz, Riker should be going with him. Like, same exact thing.
Yeah, I just don't see the value in Riker still, even after this. I mean, look, you got his own tag team partner burying him, saying, "I don't even want to ride in the car with this guy," even though that's supposed to be like kayfabe. I think it's mildly a shoot. Evil Dose, who do you think should be released?
I mean, who should be released? My goodness. Well, let's start with the two guys with gender who nobody cares about, and you probably even forgot they existed and were on the roster. So let's talk about them. Let's move it on to Gender. He's fine. We can release Gender. How about Lucha House Party that nobody watches? Are the Viking Raiders really making an impact on WWE? Do they really look like a WWE team? Does Shelton Benjamin still need to be there? Do we need Mansoor? What's Ali done? I mean, there's plenty of people you could release. Shane Thorne, he's still hanging around somewhere. He allegedly was traded.
Slapjack.
Right, Slapjack, Slapnuts. He was traded to SmackDown. He hasn't done anything, hasn't been on TV for 6 months. There's somebody that's better than any of them. No matter what I said about any of them, all of them are more valuable than Shane Thorne or Jinder's boobs. You could find two anybody's and put them behind Jinder. Doesn't matter. So there's what I just named 9 people. I could think more and come up with others as well.
I think the reasoning behind why like people like a Braun was released over someone like a Shane Thorne or a Mansoor is the contract money, right? Those guys are probably making as little as you can make while on the main roster. And they're people you can put in those roles that can not be jobbers, but be an enhancement talent. And then at certain times you can get hot, like Ricochet getting hot in this storyline with Sheamus, or Umberto in his storyline with Sheamus. It's people that are going to work for super cheap that you can throw into these storylines here and there, but you don't really need to book them that strongly. You can book them pretty bad and get away with it.
Nicholas Infante 92 watching us on Twitch. What's up, Nick? He's saying, all I can say about these releases is what the fuck, WWE. Ed Fries 2002. Gender is key to the Indian market. Yeah. Mansoor is key to the Arabic market. Also, something that
Gender is the key to the Indian market, and Mansoor is as well.
The key to he's what they want you. Gender's Canadian. When he went to the Indian market,
does not matter.
Hold on, you know nothing because they did. We don't have to go into theory. They did a tour in India 2 years ago. Gender got booed. Triple H got cheered. Gender is the key to zero anywhere. Gender is the key to the gender market, and that's it. The end.
Evil Dose, that's not true. You don't tell me that when his music doesn't get bumped up on the loudspeakers, you don't get up and start dancing.
There's lots of music that is really cool, but the music ends.
Wow.
And then saying it doesn't matter.
Just about the music is not important.
There you go. Wow. Look at that. We mentioned Evil Gender, and look, Mitten showed up. So it's been a while since Mitten's been in our chat.
See?
Speaking of Mitten, I wanted to highlight one of his comments here. I thought this was very insightful. A lot of controversy has been talked about Jeff Hardy, about the way he's been booked. And Mitten asks, I think Jeff Hardy should have been released, and possibly Bray, and possibly Elias, and the aforementioned Riker. What are your thoughts? Should have been part of this list? Evil Dose, let's start with you.
No. Why?
Well, because they're not doing anything with Jeff.
Sure they are. He's losing to people. That's what old veterans are supposed to do. They're testing programs with younger talent to see how it goes, and those people are beating Jeff Hardy, who still has name value. That's what the wrestling industry has done for 100 years until we convinced ourselves that every wrestler could wrestle until they're 60 years old.
Caden, you are a big AEW fan. That is known to the people that watch our brand. Would you want Jeff Hardy to be reunited with Matt on AEW?
It's a complicated situation. I think a year ago, when Matt first went into the company, I would have said yes. Even then, I think it would be a fun thing to have the Hardys. I do want to see the Hardy Boys versus the Young Bucks. I think that's a dream match for a lot of wrestling fans. I would very much like to see that eventually. I don't I don't think right now is the greatest time with what Matt is doing right now. I'd rather Jeff get released and go home and take some time off and then eventually go to AEW once Matt's out of this big money Matt story. And then they do that as like a little final, like, I think Matt and Jeff will both retire at the exact same time. I could see that you either wait until Jeff's contract right now is up and they do a retirement tour. I prefer it right now because I don't think Jeff and Matt have more than 2 years left in them. So based off of timing, I would say right now I'd like it to happen if we're going to get that. I think it probably needs to happen now due to them rapidly declining. Like their health is rapidly declining. So I'd rather just be like, let's just get it over with. Jeff's not doing anything. He's been on TV once and he got squashed by Jinder.
Yep. Absolutely agree, man. Absolutely.
Shante.
Very good.
Shante.
Take a deep breath, Evil Dose. There you go. He's coming back to baseline.
Keep Jinder, just get rid of his 2 boobs.
Let's talk about more coming, right? There's been speculation about Keith Lee. Should Keith Lee be released, Evil Dose?
It depends what his situation is. If he has a permanent health situation where he can't wrestle again, I guess, sure, yes. But if he's going to get better, no, the guy's amazing.
Very good. Before I get to you, Caden, Connor is joining us from YouTube. What's up, Connor? Connor says, what happened? Well, about an hour or so ago, 90 minutes ago, WWE announced that they released 6 talents. The names include Aliester Black, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy, Lana, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett just to start. So we're having a special breaking news WWE Releases episode to discuss it and discuss all the implications of it. Thanks for joining. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. All our new Twitch friends, please make sure you follow and subscribe and all that stuff with Twitch. Caden, Keith Lee, should he be released?
I wouldn't love it because I think Keith has incredible upside, but I agree with what Evil Dose said. If he does have this health condition where he cannot wrestle and his career might indeed be over like we've been hearing, I don't know if you really have an option.
Yeah. Maybe it's the fact that maybe he just can't handle like the rigors of going on the road every day. I don't know. I'm not too well versed and I'm no doctor. I don't know Keith Lee's situation.
Yeah. According to sources, it's a heart condition due to COVID.
Wow.
He did contract COVID twice. One of the rare cases to do so.
Crazy. Anybody else that you can think off the top of your mind that might be at the risk of being cut? Or
I said Liv Morgan. I think she is definitely up there. Drew Gulak as well. Chad Gable and Otis. They have been off TV for a few weeks. That one's a little scary to me. Other people, Humberto Carrillo, even though he's in a storyline right now, he should be in a storyline still with Sheamus. Doesn't matter. As it's shown by Aliester Black, him being in a storyline does not matter about if you're going to get released or not.
It's funny that you mentioned Humberto Carrillo. I want to talk about him for a second because he broke Sheamus's nose on Monday. And if I'm Humberto Carrillo, I have to ask for my release because Sheamus is probably none too pleased that this guy cracked him in the nose and broke his nose. And his career's done in WWE after that. Like, you can't be that sloppy with one of the veterans in the ring as Sheamus. Sheamus will fuck him up in the back and it'll be, like nothing. Everybody's going to turn their back. So this guy, he might want to ask for his release. That's just my opinion. Kaden, you were going to say Angel Garza.
Angel Garza, that's another one. Ricochet too. There's a lot of options out there. We every time that there's releases, we speculate who's next, who could it be, and we really never know. They always keep around the people we think that they're going to get rid of next. They always release people that we think they're never going to get rid of. Aleister Black situation. We thought they were going to get rid of them. We get rid of him. They brought him back, and we said, oh, he's never going to get released now. And then they end up releasing him.
Yeah.
This company works in mysterious ways. There's really no way to tell on who will get released. Tamina Snuka can't get released. She's a champion right now.
Big deal. Kelly Klein got released. She was the champion.
But that's because she was suing the company.
No, she didn't sue the company until 2 years later.
Well, I mean, that's a different story for a different podcast.
Yeah, no. Tamina won't get released while she has the title. Once they lose, she could. Nia won't get released either. She's a draw.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's a draw. She does generate a lot of heat.
That's what I'm like. She generates enough heat, like a Corbin, to where they're like, okay, there's no way we can get rid of this girl.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman got released, but Baron Corbin has a job.
And everybody loves Nia in the back. Like, despite what her personality, like she's in the locker room and she's, I
don't think you can say the same about Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his locker room
persona is. I think a lot of those purists do not like him based off of what he said about indie wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little overblown. I mean, I was about to say when you were mentioning that earlier, I can see him going to the indies based alone on that comment alone. Like, he'd get a lot of heat. He'd be a heel, and he's a household name. People know Braun Strowman.
I think he's said before in interviews that if he was released, he wouldn't wrestle anywhere else, which doesn't matter. But I actually do think in his mindset, he has this mindset of, I'm not going anywhere else. I won't wrestle anywhere else. I think he has that. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but I just don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah. I see him staying with WWE. I feel like
I think he could restructure.
Connor Williams says WWE could sell the company. Yeah, we talked about that a couple moments ago. They're cutting fat, trimming fat. Just like a baseball team, right? Before they sell the team, they trade all their big money guys away, and then
that's what it looks like to me. I mean, because when we see these releases, we see it all at once. It's not really in stages. Last year, it was all one day, and then like one or two due to other circumstances, like the speaking out movement, but it's not like this. This is the third set of releases. We got one in April, one in May, now one in June, and they're all about a month apart. They're all about like 3-4 weeks apart from each other. So this looks like they are trimming fat for a sale. That's what, and if I'm making an educated theory on what is going to happen, I think Vince is getting ready to sell this company to Comcast.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Before we wrap up, we're already on air for 52 minutes, and we're probably going to wrap up in the next 8. Kaden, I wanted to talk to you about Vince McMahon versus not Tony Khan, but Nick Khan. Nick Khan, the new chief financial officer of WWE, has been with the company, 3-4 months, and has made several different impacts. I know if Evil Dose was still here with us, he would say that he thinks the cuts are Laurinaitis based. John Laurinaitis has been recently brought back as talent relations, and it's
not Laurinaitis.
Was known for cutting talent, not keeping them on the bench. And he's back, and more cuts are happening. He thinks it's Laurinaitis based. A lot of people think it's Nick Khan based. What do you think?
It's Vince.
You think it's Vince?
It's always Vince. And anybody that's a former wrestler will tell you when they try to throw it on Laurinaitis or throw it on Nick Khan. AJ threw it on Paul Heyman last year. It's Vince. Vince is the one who always makes the final call on anything like this. It could be Nick Khan, but based off what I have seen from Nick so far, I don't think he's a guy that would do releases. I just don't see that as being his style. I think he's a hire guy. I don't think he's a fire guy. In the words of Michael Scott, I hire, I don't fire. Yeah. So I don't see him as being that type of guy that would be getting rid of people like that. This is a outrageous theory, never going to happen. I think it's really stupid, but I want to talk about it because how stupid it is. People are really out here speculating that this is all a work and WWE and AEW are in partnership with each other. And they're saying that because Tony Khan cut a promo on Nick Khan this past weekend. And on Friday, and saying, why would Tony Khan cut a promo on Nick Khan, another executive? Because they have never mentioned Vince's name on TV or on social media. They don't say Vince. They just mention the company, but they don't mention names. And podcasts here and there, like Moxley mentioned Vince in his Jericho podcast, they've never mentioned a name, and they mentioned Nick Khan. I do think it is interesting, and as someone who is I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I like kind of learning about them and seeing where they come from and looking into it. I find it really intriguing. There's some intriguing things there. Nick Khan's thing with NJPW, Tony Khan calling out Nick Khan, and he said, we'll see who the better Khan is at the end of this. Tony's relationship with New Japan. I wouldn't be all that surprised if AEW and WWE ended up working together after this. It would not overly surprise me. That's the one thing I'll say.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a working relationship there. I think
it would absolutely wreck the industry. I think it would be like that's the biggest game changer, I think, in all of wrestling.
No, I don't think so. Maybe it depends on the circumstances, but to me right now, like, you know, after Double or Nothing, there was this picture that got dropped of MJF and Jericho watching on the screen together and backstage the match, right, with Urban Meyer. And we shared that picture on our UPR socials, and a lot of the feedback was, who gives a fuck? Kayfabe's dead. Well, to a certain point, yes, but I want to say that kayfabe is very well alive, but it's taken a different shape and form.
Yeah.
And right now, the difference between AEW diehards and WWE fans is AEW diehards are people that buy into AEW 100%. They believe. Kayfabe is alive because they believe. AEW, in my opinion, is no different entertainment-wise than WWE. They've got people popping out of cakes. They've got little guys doing little funny guy things. They've got big guys doing big guy things. It's all of the stuff that WWE does. But the difference is AEW fans buy in. When it's WWE that does it, when WWE does zombies, it's bullshit. I don't believe it. It's dumb. Fuck WWE. And so that's the difference. And so kayfabe is alive, but it's taken a different form. Going back to the question that got us down this road is, if they're doing business together, now how does that make people that are AEW fans believe? Like, if I believe in AEW as its own separate entity, and then I come to find out that AEW is in bed with WWE, am I now pissed at AEW? I don't know. I think that's for another show. But here we're talking about WWE releases, guys. This is Unpopular Review. We're getting ready to wrap up. We've almost been on for an hour talking about these releases. We love to see John Cena back. Isaac watching us on Facebook. What's going on, Isaac? He's back in Taiwan. We're talking about WWE releases. Again, if you just tuning in, just learning, if you just went on your lunch break and you're saying, hey, look, these guys are doing a wrestling show. We're talking about WWE has just released Aliester Black, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy, Lana, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett. Yep, you heard those names right. Those are big names, and it's very shocking, and that's why we're here live to talk about it. This was a fun show.
Alister's already changed his name to Tommy End on Twitter. So we have that. He tweeted, I'm gathering my thoughts that this was complete left field for me, as obviously we just started the Dark Father character, but this was it. Thank you so much, WWE Universe, for allowing me to create and give you small bits of myself. He's also posted some pictures with fans, and then someone said, dude, Alistair with creative freedom. I am effing here for it. And Alistair responded by saying, so am I.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he's probably the biggest free agent out of this list.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, Caden, who's a bigger free agent, Alistair Black or Daniel Bryan?
Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan is still the biggest free agent right now. Aleister Black, I think, has the more upside because he's younger, doesn't have that injury history as Daniel. He has a lot more years. Daniel, though, right now is still one of the biggest names in wrestling. If you can get a Daniel Bryan in your company, it changes the game. It immediately elevates your company to a whole nother level. Forget Cody, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, anybody, the Young Bucks, anybody in AEW, Miro. Daniel Bryan, if he comes in, is immediately their most popular wrestler. You can be a Kenny Omega mark all you want. I am a Kenny Omega mark. He's my favorite wrestler. But you throw a Daniel Bryan in there, landscape has changed immediately.
Yep. All right, guys. I think that's it. Caden, we got anything else to cover?
I think that's it. I've been monitoring for more releases, but I mean, there's nothing out there right now. So hopefully there's no more today. That's all I can say is I just hope that there's no more releases today.
Yeah, we wish all these guys the best. I mean, some of these guys are going to have no problem and land on their feet, and others going to be a little bit rough. But guys, thank you for watching Unpopular Review. If you are new to Unpopular Review, please make sure that you like, love, share, subscribe, and follow Unpopular Review at all our socials. And we love wrestling. We're wrestling fans. Yeah. We're movie fans. We're we've got an entertainment channel on YouTube. We've got movie reviews, TV reviews, lots of stuff. So we put out a lot of good content.
If you're watching on Facebook, guys, head over to our YouTube channel. We're trying to get that going a little bit more. Doing very well over there. So if you're watching on Facebook, just go over to YouTube and watch the exact same thing there. Same content, same everything, just different platform.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of YouTube exclusives like the interviews. We had an interview with Mariah May, big up and coming talent from the UK. Yep. She's on there, and a lot of different interviews. We got one coming up with Mark Marrow. Yeah, so only on YouTube. Over on the UPRE, it's our entertainment channel. It's a separate channel called UPRE. Tonight we're doing a Quiet Place 2 review, which I will be on. One of my favorite movies of the year so far. So head over there and hear me talk about that. Fantastic movie. Awesome. Very good. For Caden Dirt Sheets, I am Big Daddy Cool. We will stay on top of the breaking news, and please make sure you on Instagram, on Twitter, and on our Facebook, we'll be breaking news as we find out about it and sharing our thoughts. And if there's any other big news, we'll probably go live later tonight with the show. And that's it. Guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.